Hello student, today I will explain you subquery. This is practical part. I have covered all topic of theory paper of distributed database management system. Today I will explain you subquery. This is the practical portion of your paper 601. So first of all, what is subquery? As you know, okay, what is nested loop, nested if one loop within another loop is nested loop. In similar way, query, and there is a subquery. A subquery means a query within another query. A subquery is a select statement embedded in a clause of another SQL statement. Select, insert, update, delete. You can see here from this diagram main query, and this is within another query that is called subquery. Select from where dot select from where. SQL subquery is usually added in the where clause of the SQL statement. The basic concept is to pass a single value. You can see how it works. 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. Nested, outer and inner. Inner work first, then outer work last. When reading or writing SQL subquery, you should start from the bottom upwards, working out which data is to be passed to the next query up. Subquery, which is also called as inner query or nested query, an alternate way of returning data from multiple tables. An alternate way of returning data from multiple tables. Subquery can be used with the following SQL statement along with its comparison operator like equal to, less than, greater than, less than, equal to, greater than, equal to. Subqueries can also be used inside the where or having clause also. You can see by using this syntax how it works. Select list from table where expression operator, select list from table. By using this syntax you can do subquery. This is the proper syntax of subquery. Select list from table where expression operator. Here the subquery that is called inner query execute once before the main query. The result of the subquery is used by the main query, that is outer queries. As I have told you, one is inner query and second is outer query. Here you can see this is the first one is outer query and second one is inner query. SQL subqueries are the queries which are embedded inside another query. The embedded queries are called as inner query and container query is called outer query. The subquery are the query which are executed inside another query. The result SQL query is totally depends on the result of subquery. First, the inner query get executed and the result of the inner query is passed as input to the outer query. Let's look at the basic syntax of the SQL subquery commands. Select asterisk from table name 1 where column name equal to. Select column name from table name. Here select asterisk from table name 1. This is the outer query, and within bracket from table name 2 this is called inner query. So first inner query execute, then outer query execute. Using a subquery to solve a problem, there are lots of problems we will face. To solve the problem we need two queries. We want to find what Abels earn, and second query to find who earn more than that amount. The second is you can solve this problem by combining the two queries, placing one query inside the other queries. the inner query or the subquery return a value that is used by the outer query or the main query. Using a subquery is equivalent to the performing two subsequent queries and using the result of the first query as the search value in the second query. This is the example by which you can find how it works. In the slide, the inner query determines the salary of the employee Abels. The outer query takes the result of the inner query and uses the result to display all the employees who earn more than the amount. How it works? Select last name from employee where salary greater than, again subquery, that is inner query, select salary from employee where last name equal to Abel. It shows how you fetch the query within another query. Execute the subquery on its own. First, show the value that the subquery return. That means it displays salary whose last name is Abel. Then execute the outer query using the result returned by the inner query. Finally, execute the entire query containing the subquery and show that the result is same. Types of subqueries. Subquery is divided in two parts: single row subquery, multiple row subquery. Type of subqueries. Single row subqueries. Queries that return only one row from the inner select statement. Single row subquery means queries that return only one row from the inner select statement. Multiple row subqueries means queries that return more than one row from the inner select statement. So this is the difference between these single row subquery and multiple row subqueries. Single row subqueries, it return only one row. Use single row comparison operator. In this case, we use comparison operator equal to, greater than, equal to, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, not equal to. This is the question. Display the employee whose job ID is same as that of employee 141. It show the employee job ID which is same as that of employee 141. So we write like this: select last name job ID from employee where job ID equal to, here we use comparison operator, equal to, then within bracket select job ID from employee where job ID equal to 141. It display the last name with job ID 141. Executing single row subquery. A select statement can be considered as a query block. The example on the slide display the employee whose job ID is same as that of the employee 141, whose salary greater than that of the employee 143. Select last name job ID salary from employee where job ID equal to. Select job ID from employee where employee ID equal to 141 and salary greater than, bracket में salary, select salary from employee where employee ID equal to 143. Here we are using a comparison logical operator and operator, and it execute with two subqueries. The example consists of three subqueries block actually, the outer query and the inner two queries. The inner query block are executed first, producing the query result st color and to 2600 respectively. The outer query block is then proceed and use the value returned by the inner queries to complete its search conditions. So here first it display the last name job ID salary where job ID equal to whose value 141 and salary greater than whose employee ID 143. And this is the problem with subquery. A common problem with subquery is no row being returned by the inner queries. Select name, last name, job ID from employee where job ID equal to select job ID from employee where last name equal to hash. It display no rows. There is no employee name hash. So the subquery return no rows. Multiple row subquery. Subqueries that return more than one row are called multiple row subquery. You use the multiple row operator instead of single row operator with a multiple row subquery. In multiple subquery, we use three operators basically: in operator, any operator, and all operator. In operator equal to any members in the list. Any means compare value to each value returned by the subquery. All compare value to every value returned by the subquery. Select last name, salary, department ID from employee where salary in bracket में selects mean salary from employer group by department ID. Or you can write like this: select last name, salary, department ID from employee where salary in those salary you can also. So here we are first we are using subquery, and it's simple. You can also find the same result. This is another example. Select employee ID, last name, job ID, salary for employee where salary any. Here we are using any. Select salary from employee where job ID equal to ITPRG. Any, here we are using any, and in second example we are using all operators. This is the question exercise. Find the list of CD title. Find the list of title of track that more than 3000 seconds long. Find the list of name of those artists who have a track on the CD with the title completion. These are the some queries with answer. Select the employee who got maximum salary. By using nested query, how we work: select asterisk from employee with salary equal to select max salary from employee. The second question is find out the number of employee working in sales department. You can also find this with query, and you can find it also with subquery. Select asterisk from employee where department ID equal to select department ID from department where name equal to sales group by department ID. Delete the employee who are working in accounting department. Delete from employee where department ID equal to select department ID from department where name equal to accounting. Display the second highest salary drawing employee details. Select asterisk from employee where salary equal to bracket में select max salary from employee where salary less than select max salary from employee. So 3 subqueries. So I hope you all understand what is subquery, how it works. Try to do this whole queries on your laptop. Thank you for watching my video lecture.